I know.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and get comfortable. Get the mic a little bit closer to your face. Just twist it
Maybe I
towards you.
should.
There you go. And say hi to me.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. A little closer though. And again, you can swing it all the way if you want to lean back. Just swing it right there, and then this will also that
Okay.
way too. Yeah.
Hellos. Can you hear me
Yes.
now?
Sounds good. Sounds very
Okay.
good. And we're rolling, by the way.
Okay.
That's how I just come in live. So we're doing it live.
Okay. Here we are.
Because I don't really do edits. Well, you said you've listened to the podcast, so you know the spiel. I don't edit anything unless you think back and there's something that you said you didn't want to say. I can remove it. But other than that, I don't edit to tighten it. It's just a conversation.
It is.
Yeah, I hate overproduced because I listen to a lot of podcasts and I hate the ones that are overproduced, where you can tell they either have like bumper music playing, or you can tell they edited something out for time maybe to like eliminate dead air, when I think dead air is sometimes some of the best part of the conversation. When you allow the conversation to breathe, or somebody makes a comment, um, and both people might be pondering it.
Yeah.
I don't want to skip that part.
Right.
So
And maybe that's why I like yours because they're very real. They sound very, very real.
yeah, because that's all it is. It's I'd be doing the same thing if me and my guests were out at a pub or something, having a beer, and we're just
Yeah.
talking. That's
Yeah.
that's the point of it.
Yeah. And that's what it is.
For some reason, and there's something mentally about me. I don't know why, but you put a microphone in front of me, and it's kind of a running joke with some other people at work who will say, the only way I'm actually going to have a real conversation with you, Ken, is if I go on the podcast, because I can't do it without the mic.
Uh-huh.
Justin is one of them, in the tire shop. Justin,
Uh-huh.
he's one of them. He's like, I can't get a straight answer out of you, and I can't have a real conversation. I'm gonna have to go on your podcast, and I'm like, yes, you are.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Yeah.
Proper introduction then. My coworker Laura, and we should thank Chance, who kind of made this happen, I believe, because it was him that first mentioned you. Him and Heather did a podcast with me several months ago. He didn't mention you by name, but he said,
There's an old lady
no,
that
he
works
said
at
there is this
Costco.
amazing person at Costco that I've been talking to and got to know. And he was like, she has had such an interesting life, and I never would have guessed it until I started talking to her. And had mentioned that you've lived in several countries, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, yeah. So, Chance, thank you for the connection.
All right.
And, let's get this out of the way. You know this if you listen to Tom Brady, Patriots rule. No Shoes Nation, Kenny Chesney's the man. Going to see him next summer. So,
You are awesome.
yeah, he's playing in Seattle. And it's funny, there's actually a group of it's going to be 8 ladies that work at Costco. We saw them there the last time, but they've already got their tickets. It's Kelly from the bakery, and then Kelly Burney, who's a morning stalker, and then I think Roxy's going to go,
Oh, nice.
and there's a few others that I'm forgetting, and they're going to punch me if they hear this. Thank God nobody listens. Anyway, there's like 8 of them that are going to go. And that was fun. That was fun seeing them outside of work in the stadium.
Yeah.
So my coworker Laura, and let's start off with your origin story.
Am I like really far away?
I mean, no, you can. That's kind of what I like about it too. I like having the video aspect of it,
Yeah.
but it's not like I'm not using an HD camera. I'm not
Okay.
trying to get a close up.
Good.
I stop it.
No, because I've never watched it. I've always listened to the
Oh,
podcast.
on like Spotify.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
And I've always wondered what the scenery looks like. And I know you've
Yeah.
been to like Jacob's house.
Yes, yes.
And Jacob.
Yeah, that one was actually perfect because we set up like in his little studio in his house, and it was a lot closer. So the video on that was actually really good because the camera, if the laptop's closer, it picks it up a lot better. But yeah, there's something about if I'm not in a car, obviously driving, but I like watching the video part of the podcast. It's something that seeing the person as they're speaking maybe brings more depth to the conversation.
Maybe
Maybe.
I'll watch this one to
Yeah, and so yeah, these are all on YouTube.
Okay.
That is I guess you have to be I think you have to be a sponsored podcast person to get your video on Spotify. Like only people like Joe Rogan and
Oh.
Bill Maher and some other big names get their video on Spotify. Most of them are just audio. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, and YouTube's free. I have to pay for Spotify and Apple Podcast. Okay, so anyway, where were you born?
I was born in Mexico City.
Okay, like
Mm.
1985, I think, 86, right? Is that about right? What was happening? Who was the president in 86 in
Oh my
Mexico?
gosh. No, a million years ago, um, in Mexico City, and you
Okay.
know Mexico City is a huge. Well, there lots of people live there. There's like
Even so, when you were born, I'm assuming it was well more than a million, a few million probably.
18, 19 million.
Oh my gosh!
It's not one of the most populated cities, but I think at one point it was.
And is it
Um,
is it very dense or is it spread out over a
no,
big
it's
area?
very dense, and then geographically is surrounded by
Pull it,
mountains.
yeah. Go ahead and pull it closer. The mic. That way you can relax. I want you to be
Okay.
able to sit back, but I definitely don't want to miss any
Okay,
of
I'm
this.
gonna be laying here. Um, right here. Okay.
Yep.
So it's surrounded by mountains and volcanoes, and so
Okay.
it's in high altitude. It's about like 7,000 feet.
Yeah, that brings up a good point, and this is why I don't script this, and this is why I don't even make bullet points. I just go into the conversation because I never know what's going to come up. This is something interesting to me because it wasn't until, basic high school geography, so you theoretically learn about places, but obviously it's Mexico. I always think of it as being a lot warmer, more tropical, but Mexico City is actually pretty high
Yes.
elevation, and there are pretty large mountains outside of it.
Yes, and so you're surrounded by all this, and you're way high up, so the oxygen is.
Oh, what's the actual elevation of
I
the
think it's
city?
like 7,000 feet.
It's higher than Denver. Oh my gosh, because Denver is only like 5,000, I think.
Yeah,
The mile house high city. So
yeah, so living there, I guess you get used to it.
yeah,
But if you're used to living at sea level and you go visit, you feel it. Like
you get
Yeah, you're-
tired easier.
yeah, you need
You're breathing.
yeah. So
Wow.
it's quite interesting. You never think about it while you live there.
But it's still the climate is still pretty warm, or
Yeah, it's when I lived there. So I was there for about 15 years. Well,
Okay.
I was born there and up till the age of 15.
Okay.
Yeah, it was warm, but not super hot.
are the mountains around it ever getting snow?
They do.
Really? Okay.
They do.
But not Mexico City necessarily.
No, there
Okay.
was one snowfall, 1966 or 67, unheard of.
Right.
And that's the one time I remember.
Oh my
Of course,
gosh.
I don't remember. I saw the pictures.
And did it just last for like a day and then melted?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Wow, that's crazy.
But awesome place. It's a beautiful city. It is very crowded. It's very polluted as well.
Okay.
But it is.
Is that just because there isn't the infrastructure for like, water, sewers, all that stuff, or
No, there is. I think it's just the massive amount of people with cars. So the government decided that if your license plate ended on a even number, you could drive Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay.
And if you had the other one, Tuesday, Thursday. But because people with money can just buy another car, and so now you
Oh.
can. So it didn't really
you
solve
can work the system,
Yes.
kind of a
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, and I'm assuming that's a smog issue is what they're worried about, the car exhaust kind of a thing.
Yes.
Because if it's kind of built down in a valley,
It gets
just
stuck
traps
in there.
it. Oh,
There is
geez.
no flow of air.
Right.
So it's a thick.
because Mexico City is kind of in the center of the country. It's not
It
near the
is.
coast.
No, it is in the middle,
Okay.
in the south, but middle.
Okay.
So yeah, I was there for 15
The first
years.
15 years of your life, you have siblings?
Yes, I have 3 brothers.
Okay. Older, younger?
2 older, 1 younger than me.
Okay.
And in 1982, we moved to California.
Okay.
My dad had retired, and he probably knew. Of course, you don't think about it because you're 15 and you're
Mm-hmm.
worried about other things. But I think at the time Mexico was going through some really difficult financial. I think the peso was
Oh,
getting
okay.
devalued.
Okay.
So my dad, brilliant man, he took all the money and put it in the U.S.
Okay.
And so I, he retired. It really didn't make sense at the time, but anyways, my dad was very young. He was 51
Okay.
when he retired.
Wow, that's how old I am. I wish I could retire. Go ahead.
So he retired, and we moved to California. Now, I we the way we did it, or the way my dad managed to do it, was my brothers and I came in with um, um, student visas. So in order to get a student visa, you have to show proof of that you have the money to support yourself without working.
Okay.
Because as a student, you're not allowed to work in the U.S.
If you're
as student.
as a non-citizen, is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
So any I didn't know this. So anybody that comes to the U.S. and wants for the purpose of school, they
You
won't let you work?
No, you cannot work
Why?
because you're not a resident. You're not.
So you can come to school here, but we're not going to allow you to support yourself.
No, that's why you have to show proof
Yeah,
that you
but
have.
okay.
And it doesn't like
I don't know the right. There must be. I don't know what the reason for that would be. That's
now and you probably know this. There's hundreds and thousands of people that come across the border and they go to your public school, the one where
right.
you're paying your taxes.
Yeah.
And they get to go there for free.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but God, they're just trying to make a better life for themselves. I mean,
yes,
you
and
know what I
no,
mean?
I
Yeah.
don't, dispute that.
Mm-hmm. But I see what you're saying.
But my dad wanted to do things right.
Right.
So
that's cool.
The rule was you have to show proof of, that you can
Support yourself
Support yourself
without having to have a
without
job.
having to work.
So he wanted to get you and your brothers all student visas. Okay.
Yeah. So we all went to, of course, to get a student visa. You don't go to the public schools. You have to go to private schools,
Which is more expensive.
which is more expensive. So my two brothers were in college, and I had just finished my 9th grade in Mexico. And so I was thrown into this private Catholic school in San Diego.
That's and I don't want to get off topic, but that reminds me of when I had the one with Elena. The school system you were coming from, was 9th grade down there equivalent to 9th grade in the U.S., or were you kind of already ahead?
I was way ahead.
Yeah, I knew that was coming because that's the same thing that happened with Elena.
Yes. So middle school in Mexico, you are already taking your physics, chemistry, biology, all of the subjects that you take in high school.
Yep.
So when I showed up as a graduated 9th grader, they look at my school records and I already have all my science. I have all my, so I did take, biology.
Okay.
And I'm sitting in that classroom like, I know I've done this. Of course, it was in English. It was all in English.
I was going to ask, were you already fluent in English when you came here?
Yes. In Mexico, the school that I went to was bilingual.
Okay.
So you start learning English from kindergarten.
God, I wish we did that in America.
And so I knew probably more grammar and vocabulary than any average American kid in my school.
Yes.
But I was not fluent. I had all the knowledge, but I was too shy to have that conversation. And then put me in a high school scenario, and it's all the slang. They don't talk like
Oh, right. They don't.
from
They
the
they.
book.
You learned
I
formal English.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so there's all these kids that are using words that I don't know.
Well, and was there? I'm a guessing, but your classmates probably knew you had just come from Mexico. Did
Yeah.
and did that? Was there some? How was that received? I guess.
Well, the hard part, I think, it wasn't so much that I was from Mexico, is the fact that I came in 10th grade and they had all made their little friends
Clicks.
in
They're
ninth grade.
clicks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And and
Okay.
my only experience of American high school was from the movies, what I've watched
Oh, and
in the
those are
movies.
accurate.
And you
That's
know,
so not accurate.
and it was like there's the football players and there's the cheerleaders and there's
And then there's the stoners, and then
then
there's the
the
nerds,
nerds and the what, and I did not belong to any of those groups. I came from a complete different culture.
yes,
Um, and my English was not, so it took me about 3 months to
settle in.
settle in. I made some friends,
Okay.
some normalish friends.
Yeah.
Um, and then I remember don't forget, and during the summer they would all get jobs.
Oh, but you
I
couldn't.
couldn't. And it was so frustrating because some of them got jobs at SeaWorld.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, I would love to do that, to work at SeaWorld. So I couldn't earn any money. And my friends were, getting jobs and doing things. And then my junior year, I remember they were all starting to apply to different colleges and thinking, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I was stuck. I was like, I don't even know what I want to study. I really don't. Um, so my dad suggested, he said, how about if you go to France for a year and just,
God.
because I took French in high school instead of taking
So,
Spanish.
so it's not just two. You know, three languages.
So I took French in high school, but same. It's from the books. You're not really
Right.
fluent until you go and you
Yeah,
have
you have to do
speak.
that immersion.
Yes.
Yes.
So I thought, yeah, sounds good. So I graduated.
That's so awesome that he was that like do that. Yes.
Yes,
That's an amazing opportunity that you got.
I am extremely grateful for that. It was awesome. It
Yeah.
was out of this world. So I graduated from high school, and I the idea was to go for a full year.
Now, I'm sorry, go to France for school or just spend a year
There
there living?
there was a school in France that taught French
Okay.
at different levels.
Okay.
But you would live with a family, and you just
Oh, you'd have a host family.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So a friend of ours, their daughter had gone to that program. So that's when my dad said, well, why don't you do like Alejandra and you go do the French thing? And I'm like, sounds good. I was 18 at the time when I left. I left, it was like September. Oh, it was September. I don't know if you remember, September of 1985, there was this huge earthquake in Mexico City.
Oh,
It was a
I
devastating.
think I do remember hearing about that. Yeah, yeah.
It was big.
Okay.
So I just happened to be there that time. I went down with my mom because I needed to get my visa to go to France. Like a special visa, and they have to stamp your passport. And
Okay.
blah blah blah.
But you had to go back to Mexico City for
So I
this.
went to Mexico City for that with my mom, and we were staying at my grandmother's house. And there's always earthquakes in Mexico. Always.
okay.
It's very common. But this one was
Big.
big. But of course, I didn't know. So it was early in the morning. It was, I don't know, 7:30 in the morning, and the house starts shaking. So all we knew is to go to the threshold of the doors.
Right.
That's what we were told growing up. When there's an earthquake, just go. So I remember there was 4 bedrooms in my grandma's house, and we're all standing on the thresholds, and they were very religious ladies. and you can hear the prayers.
Yes.
Dun, 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 Santa Maria Madre de Dios. You know, they're
Yes,
going
yes.
and going. I'm like, okay. So then it ended, and then slowly you started to realize how bad it was. There was no telephone. There was no, and this is, pre-cell phones.
Yeah, everybody
There's
had a
nothing.
landline.
So
Right.
landlines are out. Electricity, I think, was out. And all you could hear were the sirens because there were explosions, with the
Yeah.
gas
Yes.
pipes. So it was, and we could not tell my father that we were okay.
Oh, Jesus.
And we were.
So he's in America
He's
getting the
in
news,
San Diego,
seeing
and
the
he's
news.
watching the news that Mexico
Oh.
is done,
Yeah, there was no way to call.
and there was no way to call. So we had, of course, our flights back, and somehow we got everything we needed. And it just happened that the flights, there were planes flying out of the air. Everything was back to normal. The city was destroyed, but everything was
But
back
the airport was functioning.
So we got on the plane, and we landed. And my dad, he went to pick us up, just hoping,
But
but he didn't know.
he knew when you were supposed to come
Yes.
back, and he just went to the airport
Yes.
saying, "I hope they're there."
They're on that flight.
Oh my! But that I can't imagine what that was
Oh,
like
it
for
was
him.
it was horrible.
Oh.
And so a few days after that, I left for France. And so when I was in France, I remember, because I was staying with a family, I would watch TV with some of the, I think she had 4 sons, and the news, it was Mexico City and Mexico City and Mexico City for the longest time. Oh, it was.
So you actually, by watching all that news stuff, you kind of had an idea of what your poor dad was going through until
know.
he knew.
It
You're like,
must
this
have
is what
been-
my dad was watching, and he didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
jeez.
it was awful, but like I said, we were fine. We
Thank
got out.
gosh. Okay.
We
So
came back.
you're in France,
So I'm in
and you are
France.
going. You're going to a school, but is the school just to learn French, or are
Yes.
you doing other studies?
So you well, I arrived, and the next day, well, actually, I arrived on a Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember, and I remember going to buy a map. I needed a map.
Were you in Paris?
No, it was about 2 hours from Paris.
Okay.
And so the first thing I did is buy a map and figure out where the school was, where the post office was, where the bank, the train station, all the basic.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you just pull your phone out.
Right,
and-
right.
But back then, so I
We had
remember that.
we had these things called maps. They're printed on paper, and it shows you the roads. And
So
that's for Elena. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
yeah, I know. Well, for most of the
I know.
people you've been doing, they're so young. Anyway, so I went there, and then you take a test, so they can see in which level French they're going to put you in.
Right.
And because I had taken the 3 years in high school, I wasn't the most basic.
Okay.
I started like level 3.
Okay. Nice.
And yeah, I thought it was really cool. And so I took the test, and then they posted the results, and they would tell you which class you were going to be in. And so they posted, and I remember looking at the list, and of course, there's people from all over the world,
Yeah.
Learning French.
Absolutely.
So I started looking at the names, and I see this name, Ana Luisa Ortega, and I'm thinking, oh, she must be from Mexico. And I'm like, yes, there's a Mexican girl in my class. So we started, and of course, she came in.
She was from Mexico?
She was from Mexico City.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And we became the best of friends.
So you guys are about the same age, and you both are from
Same-
Mexico City,
yes.
but obviously it's a big town, so it's not like you
No,
didn't
we-
know each other.
We
But
didn't go to the same schools and
Okay.
anything, but we became really good friends. And then you slowly find your Mexican people in this. There were other Mexicans doing the same course,
Right.
but different levels.
yeah.
So we had this little group, and because we imagined this is the only year we're going to be in Europe, let's travel.
Okay.
So we started, after school on Friday, because Europe is this big.
Well, yeah, you can take a train
You take a
everywhere,
train
and
everywhere.
like going from country to country is even quicker sometimes than going from state to state here.
No, oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
So so we started doing little trips on the weekends, and then the weekends started getting.
Would you just like stay in hostels or something, or?
We did a little. Well, first of all, we got the Euro Pass,
Okay.
which is gives you you can hop in any train in Europe.
Okay.
And you're supposed. Okay, I'm gonna share this.
It's probably past the statute of limitations. You can confess. What did
Okay.
you do?
So the Euro Pass is good for 30 days.
Okay.
We had it for 8 months.
Okay.
We learned how to change the dates.
That's awesome.
It was, it, w- it was a very ingenious way.
Hey, yeah, I was gonna say you were creative.
Well, it was. I don't feel bad because I had the time of my life. I went almost everywhere in Europe that year.
Did you make it over across the English Channel to Britain, or just the
We
mainland?
did.
Oh, you did. Okay.
We went. One of our first trips was to London. We went
Oh
to
wow!
London.
So you got to go to spend a weekend in London,
Yeah.
and then every other pretty much country in.
We went. We did the London thing, and then I remember for my birthday we went to Italy. We went to, and they stole our passports on the overnight train, and we had to go to the consulate in Milan. It was big, but yeah, we went pretty much everywhere in Italy: Florence, Venice, Rome.
Now this was still late '80s, so the wall was still up, so you couldn't go to Eastern Europe. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
the wall was up when I was there.
Okay. Did you make it to West Berlin then, Germany?
I did not go to Berlin. I went to all the other cities.
But you went to Germany,
yes.
the western side.
Went to
Okay,
went to
okay.
Germany. We went to Belgium,
Spain,
Spain,
Portugal.
Portugal.
Wow.
I mean, they were okay. So the weekends start getting longer and longer, and then my dad, because I would call my parents, hey, how you doing? How are things? How's your French? Oh, great! I speak Spanish all the time, because I'm with all these
Right.
girls, and then my friend Ana Luisa, I think she was going back to Mexico sooner than I was. And she said, let's do a European tour. Month and a half, we hit every country. We do it all.
Oh my gosh.
And so I had to ask permission, of course.
Yeah.
As I said, hey, Dad, Ana Luisa is going back. And can I please? And he says, Laura, we sent you there to do the French thing. Oh, my French is great. So he said yes, of course. And we went everywhere. We went to Turkey all the way.
Oh my gosh.
We did, let me think. So, yeah, we went down through Italy. We went to Greece, and then we went into Turkey. We went to Istanbul, which was scary for two girls.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of men. They approach you. And
but probably very aggressively.
Yes, very.
Yeah.
It was weird. And you know what? If I remember well, remember. I think it was just before the war, the Gulf.
The first one, 91.
Yes, it was before then. There was a bombing in some airport.
Okay.
And I remember I had to tell my mom, say, Mom, we're fine. We're touring. Anyways, we went to Istanbul, but there was a train strike or something, and we had to spend the night at the airport. I mean, it was weird. But anyways, we continued. We went to Hungary. We went to Budapest.
Oh, wow.
We went, back then there was Yugoslavia. I don't know if...
Yeah, I remember. It used to be. Yeah,
it used to be. We went through there. And then we got up to Germany. We got as far as Denmark.
Okay.
We went through Austria, Germany. We went all the way to Denmark, and then came down.
Did you make it to the Scandinavian countries?
No.
Okay.
And I still have not been there.
Okay, you have time.
I have to, well,
You got time.
Yeah, but it's on the list. And then we did that whole tour, and oh, but I forgot. There's another chapter.
Please tell.
Um, one of our weekend trips, my friend Ana Luisa, she had a friend studying hotel management in Switzerland, and she said, "Let's go see my friend and check out the school."
Okay.
And I started thinking, hotel management. That sounds like a thing for me.
Okay.
So we went, and of course, this is in the Swiss Alps, um, ski resort at the top of
Beautiful.
the mountain. Beautiful.
Yes.
And there is this little school doing hotel management. It's a 3-year course, and you study 6 months, and then you work 6 months
In a hotel.
in a hotel.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, I can work. I can make money. And so we went, and I fell in love with the school. It was the program, everything about it was just what I wanted. So I had to make the call to my dad and say, "Hey, Dad, I finally
I found my calling.
I figured it out. It's a hotel restaurants management school, but it's in Switzerland." And I said, "It's only 3 years, so it's not the full 4 years. It's only 3 years." And my dad, very supportive. He says, "Oh, if that's what you want to do, absolutely.
Okay.
We'll find a way, and you let us know what needs to be done, and blah blah blah." And then my mom, moms know best. She said, "You'll never come back."
Oh.
She said, once you're gone, you'll never come back. And I said, "No, Mom, for sure. I'm going to come back. I'm going to finish school. I'm going to come back, blah, blah." And so anyways, fast forward to I applied to the school, and there was no openings until January of, oh my gosh, 87, January of 87. And I got a letter. I was back in France learning French. Ana Luisa had gone back to Mexico, and I got a letter from the school saying, "We have an opening for July 86."
Okay.
Like in a couple of, like 3 months from now.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Yes, I'll take it." So I called my parents, and they said, "Well, come home, be with us for a little,
Before you start this new
before the
thing.
school in Switzerland." So I flew back to San Diego, and it must have been April. So May, June, yeah, and July, I went to Switzerland. I tried to convince, it was World Cup, 1986, World Cup in Mexico City. Well, in Mexico in general. And my friend Ana Luisa, she says, "Come over, and I've got tickets, and we can go watch the match." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I flew down to Mexico City, and I tried to convince her to come to the school with me.
Okay.
And she said, "No, I think I'm going to do a semester here in Mexico. And if I don't like it, then I'll go do the Switzerland one." And I said, "Please, please, you got to be my roommate." And so she said no. I ended up going by myself. And I think it was 3 days after I arrived, she called me and she said, "I'm coming."
Really? That quick?
That quick. She got everything organized, and she came in, and we went to that school for 3 years.
So you both got through the program?
We went through the program. The only times that we didn't stay together, the first year they call it sales and service, and you're basically a waitress. You're doing the service, right?
Okay.
So we got waitress jobs in one of the hotels. We were sharing an apartment, and we did that for like 3 months because we chose a place where it's a ski resort. So
Nice.
the season is from December to April.
Yeah.
And then you get to go home. And so we did that the first year. My dad then said, "How's your French?" So, because the school was taught in English.
Okay.
Even though it was in Switzerland, it was taught in English.
Okay.
And what was amazing, though, there is a very well-known hotel restaurant school in Switzerland, somewhere else in Lausanne, but it's taught in French.
Okay.
Well, because not everybody speaks French, they opened this school, and they bring. I mean, we had people from Malaysia, Hong Kong,
Oh, wow.
Singapore, Australians. We had some British. We had some Americans, Canadians, the Mexicans. Um, it was an incredible experience to live with so many different cultures.
Yeah.
You get exposed to their sense of humor, even that, their food, their traditions, but also just living with them is you realize what's funny for me is not funny for them, and what's funny for them is not funny to me. But anyways, um, I did the first year. The second year, I told Ana Luisa, said, I've got to get this French down. I have to go find a remote area where I'm not going to be talking any English. I'm not going to be speaking to you, anyone. I have to do the French thing. And sure enough, I went to this town. I picked, they have the cleanest French because in Switzerland they speak French, they speak Italian, they speak German, but it's a Swiss French, a Swiss German. It's
Okay.
not. So I picked a little town border with France that spoke a very good French,
Okay.
or the best French. So I went
So are you
there.
taking a pause from the hotel management school?
No, this is, I had to study and then work, study
Okay.
and work. So
Okay.
for my second year was the kitchen year. So I worked in it. I learned all the things kitchen, cooking and
Mm-hmm.
baking or whatever. And then I chose a hotel in this part of Switzerland.
I see. Got it.
And
So
I had
you were
to,
doing the work portion, but you
yeah,
chose this
like
town.
an internship. They would call it
Yeah,
an
but you
internship.
chose this town because it was French speaking.
It was French speaking, and
Okay.
Ana Luisa went somewhere else, and I said, I'm going to learn my French. And sure, I did.
Okay.
I spoke French nonstop for months and months and
That's
months.
how you do it.
And yeah,
It works.
yeah. So then, I liked it so much, or the hotel was so happy with me. The general manager said, Laura, if you want to do your third year, your third internship with us, we would love to have you back.
Okay.
And it would be reception. I would work in reception.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, so I'll do that. So yeah, I finished my third year. I'm going to finish my third internship, and then I'm going back to Mexico. That's the plan. Because I'm done with school.
Okay.
I'm done with my internship, and I'm not coming back to the States because I don't have a work visa or
Okay.
See, I'm
Got
going
it.
back to Mexico. That's the plan.
I see. You
And
couldn't necessarily just go back to San Diego because you were no longer a student.
yeah,
Okay.
unless I went and tried to
Yeah.
a master's degree or something, I don't know. And that was the plan. 3 months into, like before I finished my internship, this gentleman comes into the hotel and asks if I speak English because he didn't speak any French. He said, "Oh, do you speak English?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I do." And my English is just so that was that. And the next day, it was my day off, and I went to run some errands. And it's a very small town,
Mm-hmm.
so there's one pedestrian, old town center that you just people walking. And I'm walking, and I see the guy who doesn't speak French. Hi. And we started talking, and we went for coffee because he went there for a job interview.
Okay.
He's from Scotland.
Oh, okay.
He was from Scotland, and he went there for a job interview. And of course, he was curious about the cost of living, how much are rents, what do you do about the cars, blah blah blah. So our conversation over coffee was all I knew about Switzerland. I said, well, this is how it is here. This is the store. This is what you do. The banks were like this, blah, blah. And that was it. That was the end of it. And the next day I was working the early shift, which was like 6 a.m. till 2 or something. And he was checking out. And so he came and he gave me an envelope with my name on it, and I put it in my cubby, and I said, "Oh, I'll read it on my break time," which was not till like 11:15, and he left. Oh well, nice, thank you. Good luck with your interview, whatever. That was it. And then I thought, I'll never see him again because, first of all, he lives somewhere in Scotland that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know existed. Um, and I'm going back to Mexico, right?
Right.
That's the plan. So I opened the envelope and it said, thank you so much for spending the time with me, showing, telling me all about the place. If you ever go to Scotland, I would love to do the same for you. Come visit and I will show you around, blah, blah, blah. Sincerely. And
And a phone number, I'm assuming.
of course,
Right.
because back in the day, children, when you wrote letters, you wrote the address and a telephone
Yes.
number and
Yep.
whatever else.
Yeah, because you couldn't just find them on Facebook.
No, no, there was none of that. So I don't know what came over me, but by the Friday, I called him
Okay.
to see how the interview. I was just curious,
Right.
and we spoke every day ever since. From that day, it was, oh hi, and we would like talk and talk. I mean, we had so much to talk about, and it was just natural, and it was la, 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 la. But it's all long distance. It's all
Right.
on the phone, and a month later. Oh, I told my parents about him. I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Mom, I met this guy. He's really nice, but he lives in Scotland, so I'm not going to see him. Plus, I'm going back to Mexico, right?"
Yeah.
And then a month goes by, and our conversations are getting deeper, and we're really connected, and we are, we're like making plans for the future together,
Okay.
but we're still not together, right? We're in different countries.
Yep.
So he said, why don't you come over and meet my family, meet my friends, see how you like it. And I did.
Made it to Scotland.
I made it to Scotland. Back in the day, you had to fly to London, and then he's from Glasgow.
Okay.
So Glasgow had like a regional airport.
Right.
It was not.
You couldn't fly into it from Switzerland.
No.
Yeah.
I had to make the little detour to London. And I went and I spent a weekend, and I met his family and I met his friends, and I had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, let's get married.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to call my parents.
I guess you're staying in Scotland
Yes.
for a while.
Yeah, so I had to call my parents and give them the news. I thought my dad would flip and my mom would be the understanding one, but it was
it the other way
the
around?
other way around. My mom just like, man, you don't know him. I know, but he's really nice.
Well, it's again, tons of conversations on the phone in a way to get to know him without the distraction of being in person. You know what I
Maybe.
mean?
Maybe
So I
it
mean, I
was-
think it might be a good way to get to know somebody because
Maybe it was
you don't
true.
have to deal with the physical part. You're actually
Yeah.
getting to know the person.
Maybe that's what
So
it was.
yeah.
It just felt really very comfortable, very
Yeah.
natural. Just we just got
Yeah.
on with each other very, very well. And so we said, well, let's do it. And August of the same year,
Okay.
we got married
In Scotland?
in Scotland.
Okay.
So I had to, the British government was a little apprehensive of me just
They assumed it was a marriage so you get citizenship. Right.
probably.
Right.
So they put a bunch of conditions. Alan had to prove that he could support me, and it was a bunch of paperwork.
Right.
And on top of that, because my birth certificate, everything is from Mexico, is in Spanish, and I was in Switzerland at the time, I had to go translate everything. It was translated into French, and then from French to the English. So
Okay.
paperwork, stamp. Got everything ready. and we got married in August.
Okay.
My parents came 2 weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to all these girls that are planning weddings, I did not plan my wedding. I didn't have a whole year to plan the
Right.
flowers and the bridesmaids, and
Yeah.
it was just me. It was
Yeah.
just me. I had 2 weeks with my parents. I bought a dress. I think I bought my dress in Florence because we travel in Europe before my wedding. My parents came
Okay.
and we did a little tour of Europe.
Okay.
And so I remember, I think my dress was from Florence, my shoes were from Switzerland, my little hair thing here was from Paris or something. It was just little things from all the countries, and it
And
was just
he was taking care of the venue, him and his family.
he took care of.
Got an
It
officiant.
was
Okay.
it was him and the best man.
Okay.
I didn't. It was wonderful to just
Just
show
worry
up.
and just worry about your dress and shoes.
Yeah, it was like just be ready at 11. The car is gonna pick you up at 11:30. That's all I needed. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was a very small wedding.
Mm-hmm.
None of my brothers were able to make it, but my mom and dad were there. He has a very small family, not like mine. I have a huge family,
Mm-hmm.
lots of cousins, and so we got married. And then my parents said in September, "Come to San Diego, and we'll have our family big
Yeah.
thing."
Okay. Reception, kind of, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so we did. We
Was that the first time he'd been to America?
No, he actually. Okay, there's another. He So when we decided we were gonna get married, um, he had friends in the U.S. and one of them was getting married, and he had asked Alan. Alan, my husband's name is Alan. He had asked Alan to be in part of the wedding. So even before we met, he had a trip to San Jose, California for this wedding in June.
Okay.
And so when we met and there's all this planning and preparations, he said, "How about if once I'm in San Jose, I can fly down to San Diego and meet your parents?" And I was like, I want to be there for that. I want to
Oh,
be the
because you
one.
wouldn't.
No, I was
Right.
in Switzerland. I was
Right.
still finishing my internship.
Yeah.
I said, I want to be there to introduce you. But, you know, good on him. He
Right.
wants to.
Absolutely.
So my parents, of course, wanted to meet him. And so he flew down to San Diego, met my mom, and he stayed at my house with my parents.
That's kind of cool,
It
actually.
was very cool. But met my brothers. Everybody gave the thumbs up.
Yeah.
And so therefore, there was the wedding in August, and then September we flew to San Diego to meet, so he could meet the rest of
Extended
the
family.
Yeah, the extended family. And he was amazed on how we are so warm. We once your family, and we
Yeah.
hug you and we love you. His family's more standoffish. It's a
Yes.
different. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
different. So, but he's fine. Anyway, so then back to Scotland, and we were there till 89, so 1994. Alan was working. He got a job with Compaq Computers.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the big headquarters was in Houston,
Okay.
Texas. So he started doing business trips to Houston, and at one point there was this opportunity to get a job in Houston
For Compact?
for Compaq.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he asked me. He said, "Laura, how would you feel about moving to Texas?"
At this point, were you working in the hotel?
Oh, well, okay, yeah, no. So what happened was, another chapter of my life. After getting married, waiting the 3 months, that the government asked me
Yeah.
to wait. Everything was legal. I got a job as an assistant manager in a hotel.
Okay.
little boutique hotel. Um, but I was working shifts, and Alan was working Monday through Friday,
Right.
9 to 5, and holidays. I missed everything, and I said I need to do something else. I can't stay working this hour. So the one of the managers from that hotel, he moved to a big chain hotel, and he asked me to come as his assistant.
Okay.
And I thought it was like assistant manager, right? No, it was like personal assistant, like secretary.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I took it because I didn't know. I was very young. I took the job, and yeah, it was Monday through Friday, but it was no,
Not your kind of work.
do not. I cannot be behind a desk. I cannot
Yeah.
be no. I have to be moving around, doing things, meeting people.
Yeah.
That's me, not the sitting down. So that didn't last very long, and so it was around Christmas time, and so Alan said, "Well, why don't you just quit the job? Let's have the holidays together. In the new year, start looking for something else, something
Okay.
new." And I said, "Oh, okay." So we do, and then January, I'm getting ready to look for a new job, and I'm pregnant
Oh, okay.
with my first boy. And so I said, no, I'm not gonna. Well, we made the decision that when the children would come, I would stay home.
Okay.
So I stayed home after that, and so I had Andrew, my firstborn, in September, and then David came, and then I was pregnant with my third one with Alexandra when he got the job offer
In
in
Houston.
Texas.
Okay.
Yes. And I said, yeah, let's go to Texas. I'll be closer to my parents.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm assuming it was like a step up as far as his career to go to this.
it was, yes.
Okay.
And also we thought, I think there's more opportunity for our children here in the U.S. than
Okay.
in the U.K.
Okay.
So we sold everything, and we came to the States.
Now you're doing the whole process again of trying to become a citizen, I guess.
Well, because it was through Alan, the company sponsored us.
Got it. Because he's going there for a job. That makes it easier.
So we got resident. We were what do you call them?
Permanent residents.
Permanent residents.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, permanent residents right away.
Okay.
And then after, I think we found out that if we die, our children would not get our estate. There was something because we were not citizens. There was something about, I could be wrong.
Like if you owned a house or something.
Yeah, like the house
it couldn't pass to the kids.
We couldn't pass, or if we passed it, there would be some major tax or something. So we thought, you know what? Let's become citizens, and that way we avoid that.
Yeah.
Plus, we're planning on staying here anyway. So then, 2006, we became citizens.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, back to my children.
I was going to say that you had the two that were born and you were pregnant with the third when you moved?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So she was born in Texas.
Okay. So she's a citizen.
She's a citizen.
Got it.
So when we were traveling, my husband and my sons had British passports. I have Mexican passport, and my daughter had American
U.S.
passport.
Okay.
And the looks that we would get. Really? Or the one was bad. I went to visit my parents with the two boys, and they thought I was kidnapping them. Like at the airport, they had all these questions like, where's the father? Right there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was weird. Anyways, we're in Texas. I was just staying home with the kids, and then when my youngest one was about 4, I decided I need to find something to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I became a Spanish teacher in the preschool where my kids were going.
Okay.
I thought, oh, that's part-time. I can be home when they're home. I can be off when they're off. It was just the perfect.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. I did it for a long time, like 16 years. And then my my kids were old enough, I thought, that I could go and find a full-time job.
Okay.
So I went for to be an interpreter.
Okay.
There was a company opening in Houston, and they were looking for interpreters. And I went. I got in. You had to do a 3-week training to be because it was over the phone interpreting. And I said, yeah, sure. I hated it. I hated the phone sitting in a cubicle
Yeah.
with a phone, but I loved the training of it, and I wanted to become the trainer. So I told them, I
okay.
said, "Can I?" And so I did get the job as a
To
trainer
train the other interpreters.
to train the other interpreters. That was,
Right up your alley.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And again, you meet people from all over the world because
Yeah.
we had Russians, we had Chinese, we had Filipinos, we had a lot of course, Spanish speaking was the biggest. But it was good. It was good, the training part. I did not enjoy the hours, the commute. Houston is a gigantic,
Yeah.
spread out city. It was hour and a half each way.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, I didn't sign up for this. So I quit that job, and then my kids were going through teenage.
Okay. High school.
No, they were older.
Oh, okay.
They
Out
were
of
older.
high school. Okay.
Yeah. And I needed to be home more than not be home. So I put that on hold. And then eventually I said, this is what I want to do. I want a part-time job, 10-minute commute, and benefits. Because Alan is thinking retirement.
Okay.
And we're thinking.
Now you're still in Houston.
I'm still in Houston.
Okay.
So they're opening a brand new Costco, 10 minutes from my house.
There you go.
And I applied and I got in, and they put me through boot camp because you have to sell the memberships. So they had us, when you open a brand new warehouse, you have to attract all the people from the area.
Yes.
So they set up little tents, and people come up and you sign them up.
Yep.
But let's remember that Houston, in the summer, is 120 degrees outside.
And it's humid.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So 8-hour days, about 6 or 8 weeks of that.
Ow.
I was ready to hang the towel. I'm like, I cannot do this. And then they opened the warehouse.
Oh, this was happening before it actually opened. I see. Because they wanted to
Yes.
have an existing customer base once they opened.
Yes.
Okay.
And Houston is so big. We have like 10 warehouses in Houston.
Yeah.
But I guess this new area, which was where I lived, I said, well, it's the perfect situation. I didn't know that the benefits were so good.
Yeah.
And that's basically the reason why I'm working.
Yeah.
Because you can't beat the benefits.
No, you can't. No, it's incredible.
So that's how I ended up in Costco, and how I ended up here was retirement.
Alan retired.
Alan is retired. Well, he just retired. But I said, I don't want to stay in Houston. We don't have anything in Houston. Oh, my boys, they all grew up, and one went to Princeton.
Oh, wow.
The other one joined the Marines. My daughter came with us. So they're all over the place. But we were planning, retirement.
Yeah, so was there a method to picking the Northwest?
There was. The original thought was North Carolina.
Okay.
I wanted mountains. I wanted outdoor, not the coast. I wanted to be,
Mm-hmm.
more the west part of the state. I had been to um, near Asheville,
Mm-hmm.
New North Carolina. Really, it was Greenville, South Carolina, where I've been. That's another chapter of my life that I haven't shared. But I'm not gonna go there.
Okay.
Well, it would be a total
Left turn.
left turn, but I can share. I'm into cycling. I do. I fell in love with the sport, and I got into it big time.
Okay.
Competition, championships.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the in North Carolina time there.
Well, it was all in Houston, but I did go. That one was not like a big competition. That was just like a recreational ride. But I saw what the landscape looked like,
Okay.
and I thought, oh, I think North Carolina would be good for me, for
Okay.
us. And we started planning it, and of course, housing is more expensive anywhere else than in Texas.
Yeah.
We are,
Yeah.
so even selling our house would be like the down payment for a house here.
Right.
So instead of retiring and then moving to either North Carolina or wherever else we were thinking of, let's not let's, while we're still earning, move and pay for the house and then retire.
Okay.
The reason why we ended up here was because Alan Compaq became Hewlett Packard.
Oh, okay. And they're
Yes.
out of Corvallis. That's don't they have a big
They have them
everywhere?
everywhere.
But okay.
But they do have an office here in Vancouver.
Okay.
And we thought, well, there's HP in Vancouver, and Costco is everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically, we did think of other, like Alan suggested. Oh, what about New Mexico? I'm like, no, it's too brown. I need greenery like
Yeah.
this. Anyway, we picked several places and nothing came close to this one. So we decided to come January, in the middle of the winter, to see,
worst case scenario.
Let's see how ugly, how gray, how rainy it is. Coming from Scotland, nothing faces us this, but
I was gonna say.
But so we came January of 2020, right before
Right
the
before the
pandemic.
pandemic. Oh my God.
We came. I fell in love with the place. I went to the warehouse just to see it.
Okay.
Not even to talk to anyone. I just wanted to. I'm like, I like it.
Okay.
I didn't even know. Later, I found out there was another one, but
Oh, but you went to
I
1086.
went to
Okay.
1086 just
Okay.
because I Googled it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I want to go there. And then we said, let's do it. We found they were building a little new neighborhood up the road, and we put the money.
So, did you sell the house in Houston then?
We did,
Okay.
but not yet. Not in January. In January we came. We said, yeah, let's do it. We went back to Texas. We were gonna put the house on the market on March 4th.
Oh God, here we go.
And that's when it was officially the pandemic. So
Yeah.
we said, hold on to the house. Let's not sell it.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Everybody's working from home. Costco becomes a zoo because
Yeah.
it was crazy. It was just, well, what
Oh
am
yeah, I
telling you?
remember.
It's crazy. It was. I don't know, I can even. We were working endless hours, and
Yep.
the store looked like it was mobbed. It was just like people
Yeah.
came and bought everything.
Yeah. Do you remember I remember getting to work on mornings when I would do an opening shift. I mean, yeah, remember the lines all the way back to the loading docks? People were so scared they weren't going to be able to get toilet paper.
I know.
You
I
know?
know. It was the weirdest thing. Anyway, so we put everything on hold. The house here was put on hold. Like they were starting to build it, and then
Oh,
they
you were going to buy a house that was being built.
built.
Okay.
Yeah, they were gonna build a house. Yeah, so they put that on hold. They were like,
Mm-hmm.
no, nobody can breathe the same air, so
Yeah,
no one can
even
work.
if you're outdoors,
Yeah,
you can't have construction workers together.
yeah. So like, what do we do? So then, fast forward to, I want to say July. No, month of May, the construction
Starts.
starts
Okay.
again.
Okay.
And so we're thinking, okay, well, the house is going to be ready October. So let's sell the house. Let's do July. Let's sell the house in July. So we came several times. So we came in January. We came in June because you have to pick the flooring and the
Oh,
tile,
yeah.
whatever. So we did that. And then we came in July. We came a weekend in July, and our house went on the market that weekend. And houses were selling in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So it sold in 5 minutes. And we said, okay, we we picked the buyer, and we said, well, we have to stay here till the end of October. So even though you own the house,
You're going to like let us rent it.
yeah,
Yeah.
for like 2 months.
Yeah.
So that went through September. Alan and I drove two of the cars from Texas to here, put them into storage, flew back,
Okay.
and then end of October, Penske truck, third car, and my daughter with her dog across America.
Nice.
That was epic. That was an epic trip. Alan and I in September did it in 3 days. That's 3 12-hour days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was about to lose it on the third day. We were coming on 84.
Through the gorge?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we had walkie-talkies because we thought the cell phones, we might lose signal,
Right.
whatever. So, Alan, I need to pull over. I had been concentrating for almost 36 hours and we were almost here.
Right.
And I just could not go anymore. And I said, I just need to pull over, and I need to just decompress. Anyways,
To not drive.
to not drive. But we did it. So then when we did it with our daughter, I told him it's going to be 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Let's not. And she has no experience driving with 18-wheelers and roads
right.
like this.
Yeah.
Texas, everything is flat
Yes.
and straight.
Yeah.
Here, there's this. And
Mountains, curves, yeah.
Yes. Like she has no experience. We hit a major winter storm coming out of it was Albuquerque going through Utah. We're going to stay in Moab. We did, but we went through this winter storm. It was awful, but we did it anyways. We're here. We love it here. I think it's.
How hard was it for the transfer request?
For me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was red carpet. It was amazing. I talked to the GM in Texas, and she was a lovely, lovely, lovely manager. And I said, this is what's happening. And she says, Laura, you just tell me when you want to start in that.
Did she just call up Greg and say, hey, I'm sending you somebody?
It wasn't that. Actually, there's a story to that too. I realized there was two warehouses. And so my manager over there said, just apply to both. At least you'll have a job to go to.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. Well, 772 replies within 5 minutes. Oh yeah, come see us. We'd
Okay.
love to have you. And so she said, don't say yes yet. Wait 2 days and see if Camas, 1086 responds. So I waited, and no response.
Did she say that just to keep your options open, or did she know something?
Because I wanted this one.
Okay, so
I was
okay.
set on this. I
Okay.
thought this was closer to my house than the other one. It turns out
Yeah.
that they're equidistant. I'm just
Okay.
over here.
But you had visited this
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
And I want I don't know why. I wanted this
You
one.
made the right choice.
I know.
1086 is way better than
Way
772.
better. Yes, yes. And so I waited and nothing and nothing. And then she said, well, just accept. So I said yes to 772. And that night, Carol called me. She called me and, hey, Laura, please tell me you haven't said yes to 772. And I said, oh, I just did. And I said, but I'll be honest with you. You were my first choice because you're closer to my house. That's all. And she says, that's all I need. And so the three managers, I guess,
Okay.
had a conversation and they let me come to
Okay.
1086.
And you started in October?
November 2nd, 2020.
Okay.
So we were still, so everybody was wearing the mask.
Yep.
And I didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't really get to know anybody because
until we took them off.
and then you take them out and you're like that. That's what the rest of your face looks
I
like.
know,
I remember
I
that
know.
experience. It was so funny. Like there was several people, coworkers, where I was like, I did not expect the lower half of your face to look like that.
No, I didn't know anyone. Everybody was wearing a mask when I showed up, and
Yeah.
a lot of people thought I was a seasonal. Nobody.
They didn't know you were transferred.
I was a transfer. Everybody assumed, and they put me at the door
Okay.
because I think somebody was out, and I've been working at the door at the other warehouse.
Okay.
Which was killing me. I'm not the door. I like I said, I need to move. I need to be busy. So when I came and I asked Carol, I said I much rather do the front end if possible. And so happens that I came in and they were so short at the door, and I said I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll do it. And so I did it, and then I got to the front end, and then pharmacy started requesting me, and I ended up working gazillion hours for months.
Oh, because the pharmacy got busy when we were
With
in the pandemic with all the shots and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
So then I did the cross training, and then I could cashier at the pharmacy, and then it just became this never ending pharmacy. I'm a front end and pharmacy. And then there was an opening at clothing.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to do that because
You're moving around. Yeah, you're not stationary.
And so I took it. I mean, I interviewed. Thankfully, I got it, and I'm there.
Oh, so because I haven't moved around much. When I started as a seasonal, they put me in utility. I feel like I had the easiest part of Costco. Yeah, please eat. I can warm that up, and I have more. It's probably cold by now.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
So I got hired seasonally, and they put me directly into utility, which I'm, had now being at Costco now, I'm like, oh God, I was so lucky because it's like everybody, I hate cashier assist. Everybody hates it.
That's hard.
Oh.
It's a very physical. You're
Just
running around like
monotonous.
crazy.
Just monotonous but anyway, so started in utility 3 months after the seasonal ended. They wanted to keep me. Had an opening in a tire shop, and they were like, I think he'll work in tire shop. So that's it. I've been there ever since. I never had to do front end, full time. Obviously, I would help, but I haven't like tried to get into a different department. So you had to actually I guess you had to apply for that clothing position.
I did.
Okay, and you had to go through interviews, just like.
There was interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I've just never, because I'm never going to leave the tire shop. I don't want to work anywhere else in the warehouse. So I haven't had to even think about that.
Yeah, I don't think there's like I always said, either utilities or the clothing.
Utility was great.
I would love that
because you're moving around the entire store.
Yeah, and if somebody asks you for help, you can actually help them. When you're assisting at the front and you're running back for another thing of bagels.
Oh, God.
Oh, excuse me, ma'am. Where are the...
And they wait until they're at the cashier to... Like, you wait until you're up here with a line of people behind you to ask this question. I love our members. I don't want to go off on this. Members, thank God for the members. We have jobs. Members are the best.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Anyway.
Clothing, I find it very endearing is the Monday mornings is like senior day.
Okay.
They all come in and they all want to talk to you.
Yes.
But in clothing, you can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you're in the front running
Yeah, you
up and
can't.
down, you can't. So
Yeah.
that's another, like, I can take the time to explain or
Yeah.
show or
Yeah,
even
you don't
just
have
have
that
the
pressure of a line of people waiting.
yes, yes,
Yep.
yes. So it's a better
Oh,
fit for me.
I just thought about a funny clothing story. I was on one of my breaks. This happened a long time ago, but I can tell them apart, but now in the memory now, I can't. I'm not sure if it was Rachel or Justine. I can actually tell them apart, but I don't remember which one it was. But she was in the clothing doing the thing, and I was looking for like a pullover or something. So I started going through the stack trying to find the right size, and I did something, and the entire thing. She had just folded them, and the whole thing just falls to the floor. And, and I just instantly looked at her, and she's like, "Ken." God, I felt like an idiot. Yeah, so but that's where you're at right now is clothing.
Yes, and I do like it a lot. It's
Is that so? Yeah, we can go back to the Chance connection. How was how did you and Chance get to start chatting? So he learned so much about you. He wasn't in clothing, was he?
no.
Well, he was a front end soup for a
Yeah,
while.
he was. Well, that's how I met him as a supervisor, and then he stepped down,
Mm-hmm.
and so then we were joking, now we're equals, right? And one time in the break room, he was talking about photography, and he was thinking about buying a camera, the big fancy
Yeah,
ones.
yeah,
Um, and then he mentioned something about loving the really old ones. Well, I have one from like 1982
yeah, yeah, yeah.
with the lenses, 35 millimeters. And I said,
So he wants to use real film.
yeah, or
Yeah,
what? And I
because
said,
that's not digital,
yeah, I
obviously.
said, you can have I will give you my camera. There was a certain thing, when you move from another state, you get rid of a lot of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
That one, I almost did. I was going to donate it to the high school because they do photography
Right.
classes, and I don't have use for it. I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
to take another picture with a camera. I took amazing pictures. All my kids, yes, the memories, whatever.
You're not going
No,
to use it
I'm
now.
not going to use it. It needs to go. So when Chan said, I said, I'll give you that camera. She says, well, let me give you something in return. And I said, well,
You don't need to, but
I don't, yeah, I'm just giving. So he had a print of, it's like the Pacific Northwest, mountains and
oh yeah,
trees.
yeah, yeah.
It was very pretty. And I said, oh, I'll take that. And so we did that. And we started talking about, oh, like why I'm always curious why people end up at Costco.
Yeah,
I love to hear their story about why
yeah.
we end up with Costco. So he was telling me, he did tell me about after high school he went to Africa. So then I probably
Yeah.
shared, oh well, I was in Europe, and that's how he knew. Like, oh really? Like, yeah, you would never know.
Yeah.
The funniest thing I get is nobody believes that I am from Mexico. No one.
Really?
That it's like
Is it because you're not tan enough? I don't. What?
maybe my accent is not truly Hispanic. I have an accent, like
I'm assuming part of that's because of 3 languages, so they all kind of bleed together and change it.
maybe I don't.
Did you have a different accent when you were younger then, do you think? Or you might not even notice.
I don't even in Spanish, when I speak Spanish, I don't think I sound like a girl from Mexico City anymore. I don't.
Again, probably because you spent so much time
I
around the
don't.
world in other countries and learning the
Maybe.
other 2 languages, that has to have an effect on how you speak all of them, I would guess.
Yeah, I do notice when I'm tired, it kind of goes. My English kind of like.
Well, and this is so funny because some of the interactions, I swear sometimes you don't have an accent. There's been a couple times where and it's just in short, a few sentences where you've said something and I didn't catch any accent, and then like the next time I talk to you, I'm like, oh, there is it, because I didn't even know you were fluent in Spanish until I think I had to have you come out to the tire shop and translate for me for that
That's
lady.
right. That's right.
I
It
don't
was
even
you.
think I knew you knew it until somebody said, "Well, Laura can do it." And but so sometimes when you talk, it sounds just like English American, and then other times I hear you like on the phone when you called me today. I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh my God, there's the accent. That's totally."
That's me. Yeah, I can't. And no one can place me. The moment I start speaking, the first question I can guarantee is, "Where are you from?"
Yeah, because they can't pinpoint it.
And so assisting, like when I was assisting, that was one of the first questions people would say, "On where are you from?"
Yeah.
And I would say, "I'll give you three guesses. See if you can get it right." And they have given me like, "Oh, you're from Finland. You're
What?
Portugal," which Portugal I can take. Italy, Portugal. Yes, yes. Even my not my parents, but my parents' parents. Yeah, there is people from Spain, people from Portugal.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm a little bit whiter
Okay.
than your average. But when I say Mexico, like no way. And one this is really funny. There was one member that he was bad mouthing all these illegal
Oh
immigrants
yeah.
that came around. He rattled rah, 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 for I let him. And then he said, "And where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Mexico."
Perfect.
And you know what his reaction was? He said, "No, you're not." And I said, "Yes, I am." Well, no, your parents probably are not. And I said, "No, yes, both my parents were born in Mexico, and I was born in Mexico." But no,
Oh God.
he could not get
He
out of
couldn't
that
accept
hole.
it. Yeah, because he had just dug himself in.
Yeah, I thought that was too funny. Like, yeah, I am from Mexico, but yeah, that's the one thing I get is the
They can't peg you.
no,
Um, does Alan still have an accent?
yes,
That's because the Scottish accent's pretty cool. I think
it's
I just appreciate
hilarious.
accents, but
I can sit and listen to him talk to his friends for hours because
right.
it is hilarious. It's
He
a
could read the
hilarious
phone
accent.
book.
It's just funny. It's funny how they pronounce everything.
Yeah. So it's a
Um,
strong Scottish accent.
I wouldn't say he has a very strong one, but he does have
Yeah.
one. The
Okay.
Our kids make fun of him. There's certain words like the number 11 is 11. 11. It's not 11,
Oh,
it's
it's 11.
11. 11.
11.
And
Like
then
L. L. 11.
11.
Okay.
The other one is uh, tuna, like tuna fish.
Yeah.
I think he is like tuna. He says like if it was a ch, tuna, tuna. We're having tuna today. Tuna. My boys are they can do it. I can't do it. They're funny. So
Now, growing up with you though, did they learn other languages? Did they learn
I
Spanish and
spoke
all that?
I spoke Spanish to them from the moment they were conceived.
That's awesome. That's a gift. That's a great
But
gift.
when they were, I guess, school age, that's when they hit school age, 5, 6, they don't want to. They just refused. Their friends all speak English. TV's in
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
But for the first years when they were home with me, all I spoke was Spanish to them, and they understood it perfectly. Um, the one that has the most um, ability to pronounce it better is my second son,
Okay.
the middle one. The other two, they're not. My husband, we've been married for 34 years. He doesn't speak Spanish. And I told him, I said, "Alan, if you spoke German, I would be fluent in German right now." Like it's just one of those things
Yeah. Yeah.
that languages, I, you know,
Well, and that goes back to Elena made the comment that she had heard um, once you learn a second language, it becomes easier to learn additional ones. It's learning the first new language
mm-hmm.
or learning your first second language, I guess, is like the getting over that hump. And then I guess your brain learns how to learn languages, but you have to get past the first one.
I think yeah, there is truth in that. Also, for example, for me, knowing Spanish as my, first language, when I was learning French, French is very similar to Spanish in terms of the verb tenses, the feminine, masculine, conjugation. All of that is, they're different words, obviously, and pronunciation is completely different, but it follows the same.
Like sentence structure is
Yeah.
similar?
In English, like I've always said, English is easy to learn because of the simplicity of the verbs. For example, I eat, you eat, he eats, we
Okay.
eat, you eat, they eat.
Okay.
In Spanish, every single person is a different ending. Yo como, tú comes, él come, nosotros comemos, ustedes comen.
So
So
the Spanish word for eat is different for each. Is that what you're saying?
the ending of the verb
Oh,
changes.
wow.
And depending also on the verb
Oh.
tense. And then we have masculine and feminine, all the nouns. The table is feminine, the book is masculine, the bag is feminine.
Wow.
And then in French, most of them are the same.
Okay.
Most of them, not every. Like, for example, car in Spanish is masculine, car in French is feminine.
Okay.
There's a few like that. German, and that's why I could not get through 1 year of German, is they have masculine, feminine, and neutral. I'm like, what? It makes no sense. And German, the sentence structure is completely different. Yeah, you put, I think, the verb at the end. Da 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 da. Play. I could not get through German. I would have loved to do Italian and Portuguese, and they're very similar to Spanish
Okay.
and French.
They're kind of related?
I think so. Yes. Like
Okay.
if I go to Italy, I can understand.
Oh, okay.
I mean, basic, very. I mean, I'm talking basic.
Yeah.
Same with Portuguese. But German, I could not. It was one of those languages. I didn't like my teacher first.
That's not going to help. Yeah.
Which a lame excuse, but could never like him. And then, and so I gave up on that German, but I would like to do more. The other thing my brain, I'm like, squirrel.
I love that reference.
With Chance, he plays the piano.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, because I was trying to set this podcast up at my daughter's house so that we could do the recording, but then Chance could also, which he's watching at her house right now.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been staying there since. I'm actually going to go down there after we're done because I want to use the studio too. But I think he started watching last Friday. That sounds right. He's been there almost a week because my daughter and her fiance are they're down actually in Mexico on vacation.
Oh.
But he's been house and dog sitting, and because I normally do it for him, and I love doing it for him. But I've been traveling so much, and my roommate loves it because I'm hardly ever here. But I said, you know what? I know Chance has got this band. He's been trying. He's kind of put together a band, and the rehearsal space because my daughter and her fiance, he basically has like a performance space and a studio in the basement. He's a musician also, so it's all set up, and Chance can just have his bandmates come over and practice. And I go, I bet Chance would do it for free just to be able to use the studio. So he's been over there. Yeah. So has he actually been able to connect with you on the piano thing?
No.
Why don't you call in sick today and just come down to the house and he can teach you piano?
I wish I could, honestly.
I'm kidding. We would not be. If you were going to, we wouldn't have said that on mic. So.
So here's my thinking. As I'm getting older, I want to exercise my brain in different ways.
That's how you stave off, mental decline.
So, yes.
You got to keep learning.
Yes. So I thought piano would be. My grandmother was a pianist.
Okay.
And we spent a lot of time at my grandmother's house. and she had like 3 pianos at her house, and it was a constant, piano, 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 piano. My mother was probably forced to learn piano, and she hated it.
Okay.
So in turn, she said, "I'm not going to force my children." Well, I wish
Yeah.
she had forced me.
Right.
So now, I'm 600 years old. I'm going to take on piano. And so I bought the one they were selling at the store.
Oh, a keyboard.
The keyboard.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the Roland, it's got legs. It's
yeah.
not,
Is it like a scissor stand or?
no, it's got on each side. But
Okay.
but it has the headphones.
Okay.
Which was.
So you can practice without annoying the rest of the house.
And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I said, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it, by myself. And I said,
Yeah.
Chance said, oh, well,
I'm glad. So that's good. I didn't know if you had access to your own keyboard. So you can, good.
Yeah.
And then again, whenever,
I would love to. But I told Chance, he said, I will give you a free lesson. The first lesson is free because he needs to know if we're compatible.
Right. Yeah,
and I said, oh my gosh, we'll come with a ton of patience because I'm going to be like, ding, dong, dong.
Just doing chopsticks.
Yeah. So we'll see. That hasn't happened yet, but I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's been pretty happy about this. So I'm sure, and they travel a lot, so I'm sure there'll be more opportunities for him to house and dog set for them.
Yeah.
And again, they don't even have to be out of town. They're pretty open about, because there is actually a local Portland band that they allow to use the space to rehearse like on a regular basis.
Oh, okay.
And if especially if they're out of town or something, I have free access to their house. I can go there whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and it's actually a great place to do podcasts. I love setting up in their living room. It's a really big house, like 3 levels, great natural light, big backyard. So anyway, yeah, whether connect with him, you have the keyboard or whatever, but at some point, yeah, you should totally come over and check out their house.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, I was hoping to find out when his band was going to rehearse, because I want to come. The last time in November, I was dog sitting for them, and I set up a night where he could bring his band over, and I forgot that I had tickets to a concert. So I set him up there, but then I had to leave. I didn't get to hang out. And it turns out they wrote a song that night, and I missed it. I would have loved to have watched that process. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
So, gosh, well,
very,
time
very
is getting
talented
away from
people.
us. What time?
Very, very talented people.
Oh wow, we've been going for over an hour and a half. You weren't kidding. We're gonna have to do parts. We're gonna have to have like multiple episodes with you.
Well, no, I mean.
Because I have a feeling there's another 5 hours of content you could talk about.
Well, I mean, when you've been around for so many years.
Would you stop with that?
Well, but it's true. I mean, when you have the podcast with 23-year-olds, well, they just got out of high school and they've done a couple of things.
She's not directing that. That's not about Elena. We're not.
No, but they're amazing. I am impressed with these young kids that you've talked to.
Yeah.
I think they're amazing. I think they're super creative, super smart, and I love that they do what they do. Like like Heather with her
digital art. Yeah. Which again, I had no idea until I did the podcast.
I find it fascinating.
Yeah, and Elena also does some of that. She actually offered. I need to remind her. She offered to create some cover art for my podcast. So instead of the photo I use on Spotify, she said she could probably create an image, a digital image for my podcast. I'm gonna tell her, yeah, do it. I'll use it.
Yeah.
Because I just snagged the photo out of my phone and I used Pic Collage to just put some text over it. So that's what you see on Spotify. I just created that on my phone. Yeah, and then of course Jake's backstory about I didn't realize he did the acting thing, and I didn't know he was in guitar. That was awesome.
I know, it's like talent, and then you asked me, come to the podcast. And what am I gonna say?
It's just, I've said it, you've listened to me say it every time. Everybody's story is different. Everybody has been through things I can't even relate to. And I love hearing about it.
I
That's
know.
how you grow as a person, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know why. I find it very interesting. Spam.
Great.
Do you need more coffee? But we can wrap it up pretty soon.
We can wrap it. What time is it?
It's like 12:15.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
let me look at that. Actually, it's got a running clock on it. I'm
Okay.
curious.
I didn't.
And then I'll also as soon as I stop, it automatically converts it to an MP4 file, and I'll pull it back up so you can just hear yourself.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, we've been going an hour and 35 minutes. So,
Okay.
all
What?
right, then let's do a formal conclusion.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of getting old, my body hurts all day, every day. Just aches getting out of bed. Maybe it's
Hmm.
because I have such a physical job. Um,
I don't know. Do a little.
I mean, I exercise. I have a foam roller. I stretch. Yeah, but I wish. I mean, I'm still. Once I get warmed up, I'm
Oh,
fine.
you're fine. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the.
It's like in the mornings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just chalk it up to getting old.
You're not old.
I'm old. I'm 51.
I'm older.
Oh, so Laura, thank you again. This was a very enjoyable conversation, and we should probably do it again. I might even try to connect because I know I know well I don't know if he wants to do another one. I'd like to get Chance on again. I
Mm-hmm.
think it'd be fun to have, and I like doing it with three people sometimes. That's fun. Any more than three, sometimes it gets a little bit busy. I did an episode with my daughter and Alex and a friend of mine named Charlie. So that was four people. That was pretty good. I have found though, if you have too many guests on it, they just end up talking over each other.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I had actually taken quite a break for just life has been happening, and I
Mm-hmm.
haven't had to record. But now I'm going to try to get back into it. So,
Okay.
yeah, you'll be on the list for a second episode, definitely.
Okay.
So thank you once again. This was amazing. And we are going to sign out.
All right. Peace
Go
out.
go Costco.
Go.